that got in contact with these Sidonians and learned the system of magic thought we have the king of the magicians in the Egyptian mythology. We have Moses, who did battle with the Egyptian magicians in the Bible, the king of the Israelite magicians, the great lawgiver. We have Pythagoras in the Greek legends, and Hermes Trismegistus, who gave us the ancient axiom, as above, as below. And here we have, if we look in the Egyptian hieroglyphic dictionaries, we see that the sound Chen, it means priest and servant, and we get the word Cohen in Jewish modern, the last name Cohen, from the same cognate. And here we have this being a derivative of Chen, and the H with the dot under it in this dictionary is the hard H, the CH kind of sound. So servant and priest, and again, Niter Chen, divine servant and priest, and this is from a mainstream Egyptologist, E. Wallace Budge, and he's a mainstream he was the head of the British Museum of Antiquities. And here we have Shem in meaning south, because Set, Shem the magician, was the dweller of the south, and these old correlations between these cognates, and Sen, to go, the Hebrews, in Hebrew, Hebrew means to go, to cross over, so we have the Shem with the little feet, and we have that cognate here. So these are a wandering band of sort of magician, and we know that the Semites were wanderers out of Egypt, and they took this mystery knowledge with them, this knowledge of the stars, the stellar knowledge of the Egyptians. And here we have Ati and Chenti. Again, Chenti is prince, and the double serpent is very important. We're going to get into that. It's a very significant symbol. And again, we have Chen, Chent, the TH is the T with the dot, and again the sound with the wing, and even in Chinese, Gang, the Chang, the Genghis, the king, we have that word, that cognate, and that word, even Chang means in Mandarin for God, we have the same cognate. And here we have Abraham going to Canaan, and Abraham is Brahmin. Abraham, Brahmin is a cognate of one another, and Abraham was the occult leader, the patriarch of this mystery knowledge. And he went to Canaan, as it says here, with his wife, and then they tricked Pharaoh. And he was a magician. He was a great and clever man. And it says all these things in the Bible. He's the patriarch of apparently 3 world religions right now, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So they all give Abraham credit as being the founder, and he's the king Brahmin, as it says, the king shaman. And also, we can't talk about shamanism and shamans without Pan. And Pan was ultimately the minstrel that brought man out of this sort of unconscious state, as it says, with music. And there's great significance with music and shamanism, and the god Pan, as it says, the goat god, the anthropomorphic shaman figure, the minstrel of the woods. And again, we talked about the original Pan's flute, the Mysterian flute. It's always been used, and we see here even in the Americas the shaman with the stag horns, with the serpent all over in Utah here, 8,000 BC, 7,500 BC. The serpent with sort of flying discs around him with the reindeer ears, the stag, anthropomorphic type body. And again, Pan, the anthropomorphic, the original Pan flute, the minstrel of the woods, the half goat, half man. And pantheon, we get the word pantheon, which means, and pan in Greek means all, like, and this just means all the gods. Pantheon is all the gods. And we have Mercury as with the caduceus, his symbol, the symbol of the medical industry, the messenger god of the secret knowledge. We have Venus coming out of the seashell, because Venus is the goddess, the fertility goddess. All these are very important and significant symbols. We have Mars, the god of war, the red planet, the Aryan god of the Sidonians. We have Jupiter, which is the father figure, and then we have grandfather, or father time, which is Saturn. So then we have all these symbols being represented, and we still have the same symbology now, where all the nationalistic emblems of power use the symbol of the father, or Zeus, the father figure, and they use the eagle. And this is ancient Rome, Nazi Germany, and here we have Zeus fleeing off with Diana, represented by the eagle, and we have the American eagle with the solar American emblem on its chest, which is basically, this is the phoenix, the rising of the phoenix out of the ashes. It's a very occult symbol. So after the catastrophes and the cataclysms and the floods and all the business of the great rising of temperatures and melting of the ice, we find order's a little bit restored, and we find agricultural communities emerging. Because now the ice is melted, Europe's no longer frozen. We have the agrarian goddess developing, the culture of the agrarian goddess, getting the population back up, fertility goddess. And also the agrarian goddess of the trees, because now we have the forestation of Europe and trees for the first time coming out of the ice, because we can grow food, we can have a soft ground to deal with. And the agrarian goddess, we read in the Sumerian text, means that man receives the plow from these Anunnaki. And they taught us how to basically count the seasons and calculate. The shamans kept tabs on all of these in the ancient almanacs. And the original shamans were the women, of course. And we read about this, and we see this even in Egypt. We see Nephthys, the lady of the tower, the lady of the tree. And we see the Egyptian artifacts of the woman in the trees gathering the honey, the sweetness for all of the food. And this was a symbol for wisdom, and the ancient fertility symbols of Nephthys with the tower on the trees, Isis' sister. And we see the Yule tree, the yew trees in ancient Irish and Celtic lore. And these trees were worshipped. The goddess lived inside these trees, because with these trees came warmer times. The ice was gone. They grew food. They no longer had to go hunt, and they weren't bands of nomads. They could sit in one place, and they were agrarian. The goddess tradition of repopulation and fertility and cultivation of food. And we see this even in the classical goddess figurines. Again, the owl with the wide eye, the Europa figure, and the cherries. We have with the wheat and the staff and the rising out of the shell, the fertility symbol, and the liberty figure of justice, the mother, the maternal figure, the just mother, the one who sees. And even back as far as 3000 BC, we see these women in sort of goddess or cult-like dress with these hairdos that seem strikingly modern, driving on the lunar cow with the crescent horns, which it's known for. And we have them with their capes, decorated capes, and these are no doubt a picture of some sort of priest clan of women that were marking these sort of fertility cults and keeping tabs on some tribe or another. And that brings us out through Cancer and Leo into the age of Gemini, the age of the twins, Tammuz, Thomas. And we get Tiamat, like we hear from the legend of Tiamat being destroyed. And this is Marduk we see killing the serpent, and we get the two-faced character in the movies and in all of the legends. And this is just a battle of basically the stag god and Abraxas with the double serpent chariot. The stag god once again overcoming the serpent. And we'll see this as a solar symbol throughout the next few ages, throughout the next few thousand years. But no, this is Thomas, the doubting one, because one face of faith, one face of doubt, the two-faced Thomas, Tammuz, the twins. And we see here, even in ancient Europe again, 6000 BC, but now we have the solar symbols, the shamanic figures with one eye. The one eye open is a very important symbol. We're going to see that on Lord Magikal in Peru. We're going to also see that in King Tut's tomb with the one eye and Cleopatra. And 90-degree angles being made by the arms, representing the solar year, the solar solstices, the 90-degree points of our calendar. And again, the spaceman regalia, the helmets and the solar symbols of the whole icon is starting to come together into one formulated iconography or one symbolism. So that's where we get the myth of the Hyperboreans. Hyperborean just means the super north. Borea is the Latin word for north. And we get this myth of the Hyperboreans, this elite class of sort of shaman, hyper-cosmic entities that live inside the earth and access it through the North Pole. They're sort of anthropomorphic stag gods. They show up in earth mythologies and the ancient mythologies as